As you know, I do love Vanguard. There is no other company that I'm happier to give 0.22% of my money to each year for the simple and straightforward process they give me to grow my money. But there are some out there that don't see Vanguard as perfectly as I do. The very biggest complaint and bugbear that Vanguard users have can be found on Reddit, Facebook, YouTube comment sections, everywhere. And that complaint is, it is a biggie, that they don't have a mobile app. I know, what a shocker. One of the most interesting parts of this argument is actually it's split into a camp of appers and no appers. On one side, investors feel that it's pretty poor for a company such the size of Vanguard that they haven't got a simple app together. Fair criticism, no? After all, they manage $6.7 trillion worth of assets. Surely they could easily deliver on one simple app. But on the other hand, some feel that their current website works extremely well, whether it's on PC, mobile or tablet, so creating an app wouldn't be a good use of money. This message is normally challenged through the immortal mantra of Vanguard's late founder, John Bogle, who was fixated on keeping costs as low as possible to give the best returns possible to its investors. On top of this, people are questioning why that you'd want an app in the first place. Should you really be checking your investments daily as a passive investor? You probably shouldn't, but in fairness, I'm very guilty of doing it. I even do Vanguard portfolio updates on YouTube for God's sake, so yeah, I'm probably the most active passive investor ever. Personally, I've never minded it that much that they've lacked a mobile app. I think their website is pretty good, both on computer and mobile. There are some hidden gems on the site which some of you might not be aware of, so I'm going to do a video on it in the coming weeks, so keep an eye out for it. I'm really surprised we haven't heard more about this before now, but I can loudly claim that Vanguard is launching a mobile app. I can hear half of you is cheering and the other half booing already. If you're excited for the Vanguard mobile app, then make sure you like this video. And if you're not looking forward to it, then like this video. Deal? So what do we know about Vanguard's new mobile app? Well, first off, Vanguard's name for the app is Beacon, or Vanguard Beacon. Got to say, I think it's got a nice ring to it. I do have a mental image of the Vanguard V with flames coming out on top of it for some reason, but I think this is far too extreme for Vanguard. Vanguard have even said that they're planning on releasing this quietly, and in fairness, they're sticking to it because I haven't heard about it and it's been out for quite a while. I'll get into how long later on in the video, but they've definitely delivered on the quiet part. The reason they're keeping it quiet is due to them building the app from the ground up and plan to release it in stage after stage. That way, they can get the app out as soon as possible and people can be using the app, giving feedback. So actually, I think it's quite a good way of doing it. There is part of me that is surprised they're doing it this way though. I thought they'd be more than capable of getting a fully functioning app out there, but hey ho, that's the way they're managing the rollout. The goal for Beacon is to become the single all-encompassing tool that supports all investors with a sleek look, which I'm sure will be in the famous maroon reddy colours that Vanguard have. They're currently in the process of rolling that app out in its beta version for users in America only. So sadly, for the ones of us like me in the UK and the wider world, we're going to have to sit tight and wait for its release. Vanguard's Beacon will be a fully secured working app, like all the investment platforms that you're used to using already. They'll be including all the features that you've come to be used to, like the fingerprint login as such and other features. There, you'll be able to look at your account, your portfolio, your asset mix, review its performance and all those sorts of things. They have said though that you'll be able to perform some transactions, and that's a direct quote. Vanguard haven't clarified what they mean by some transactions, but we're going to have to wait and see. They seem to be managing expectations of what we might be able to expect. My best guess is that I might potentially not be able to buy live share prices, which I can live without because I don't use it, but it's the only thing that I think might be a little bit more complicated. I guess we'll have to wait and see. The app will be available for download on both App Store, on iOS and Android, so no users should be left out. They are currently asking initial customers to trial the application so they can get feedback for initial tweaks ahead of its full launch. If you live in the US and haven't seen anything about it, then do double check your emails, as I believe this is the primary way they're trying to recruit people to sign up to the trial. If you haven't received an invite, then I'd contact them directly through your Vanguard account. When Vanguard Beacon Beta... Bloody hell, can you imagine saying that 3 times after having a drink? When Vanguard Beacon Beta is no longer supported due to the beta stage coming to an end, you won't have to uninstall the app. It'll just simply give you a prompt to update it, so no need to uninstall and then reinstall at a later date. On Vanguard's website, it says that the full launch will be due in a few short weeks. We do have one problem though. The article wasn't dated, so this does pose a bit of an issue. How the hell can we figure out when it's due to launch? I didn't want to rock up to this video empty-handed, so I've gone and done some investigating for you. After several attempts at searching on Google, I came to a complete dead end to find out any more information. I then realised that surely, if the app was on there to get reviews, then be somewhere that reviews have been placed right and they'll have dates against them, so I went in search of something. This then led me to the US App Store. After flicking through several pages of feedback, I came to see that the oldest review was as far back as the 20th of August 2020. So, a few short weeks might have been a little bit ambitious, as we're now sat here a full 6 months later and been no further forward. A little disappointing, as I haven't been able to find out any more news since. In the meantime, I've asked Vanguard directly when Vanguard Beacon will be available, both in the US and the wider world. I'm yet to hear back, but it does normally take a few days. The rollout also doesn't give any clarity if this means it's going to be a full global rollout or if they're just going to roll it out in the US first. So watch your space. As soon as I've heard anything, I'll let you know. I'll update it on my Instagram account and Twitter account, so feel free to follow me on my Twitter handles, will probably be somewhere here. Otherwise, you'll be able to find the links to those profiles in the description below. So, as we're here, what has the initial feedback been on Vanguard Beta and its beta version? Well, I'm not going to lie folks, it doesn't look great, which might explain why we're sat here after 6 months with nothing to show for it. So, to give you the headlines, as I read this script, there were 346 reviews, with a star rating of a pretty terrible 2.6 stars out of 5. Eek. You wouldn't get in a taxi with an Uber driver with a rating that low, would you? Well, I wouldn't. We can go another level lower though. We can see about 40% of the reviews are 1 stars, so I think you can safely say that there is some work to do. Let's try and break down some of the feedback and see what insight we can drive from it. Let's start with the bad news so we can end on a positive note. There is positive news, I do promise. The biggest complaint is the significant lack of features, which I think is kind of expected based on Vanguard's prior wording of some transactions and that they were building the app from the ground up. The reviews say that once you delve any layer deeper than the top line performance, you'll find, well, nothing, or at least not a lot. You might be lucky enough to find some funds to see their year-to-date performance or the 1 year performance, but that's about it. So I do understand these frustrations. You would have thought Vanguard would have added a little bit more to the prototype or the beta version before releasing it initially. This next one does make me laugh, as I have a very clear image in my head of the sort of person that's saying this, but anyway, here we go. On top of this, some users have complained that the application can only be used vertically and not horizontally. Apparently, this user in particular has issues using it when using it on their iPad. I imagine most likely when they're playing bingo on it. I don't know, that's just the image I've got in my head. Let me know in the description below if you use Vanguard on your iPad. I certainly don't. Looking over the reviews, it's clear to see that customers were expecting a lot more from the beta version than anything else. It really does sound like they're trying to do it all themselves internally at Vanguard instead of using an external agency. One customer has even pointed out that they'd be more than happy if they could use an existing app like Webull and just rebrand it in Vanguard's colours of the maroony ready that we've got used to. It's probably not a bad idea, and I'd happily go with that. People aren't asking for better, they're asking for the same, or actually at some level they might be asking for even less, as Vanguard funds are really straightforward. It's nothing as complicated as a CFD trading platform like you might find on eToro, for example. There are positive bits of feedback though, so don't worry. Some of the users are more understanding. They're actually really excited that Vanguard is finally trying to do something that a good portion of their customer base really wants. And there does seem to be a general alignment from the reviews that people think the app looks really good. Sadly, it just doesn't work well for them, or there's not a lot there. But at least it looks good, right? Let me know in the comment section below. Do you want a Vanguard mobile app? Will you be downloading it as soon as possible? Will you be checking it every hour like me? Let me know. As soon as I hear more news about Vanguard Beacon, I'll be sure to let you know, so keep an eye out on my channel. Before I do get some kind of comments below about there already being a mobile app for Vanguard, I just need to clarify something. There is, but you can barely call it an app. It is extremely poor and it's only available in the US. It's light years behind what a minimum standard would be today for an app. No wonder they're creating another one like Vanguard Beacon. I have done some research on the existing app that I can see over in America, and I think you could easily argue that the website in a web browser performs a lot better. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video on Vanguard's new mobile app called Vanguard Beacon. I hope you've learnt something, but if you still have further questions or comments, then I'll try my best to reply, so feel free to leave me a comment below. I do other videos on this channel around the topics of investing, finance and income growth. These include updates on my investment portfolios, with my primary one being Vanguard, as you can probably expect. But I actually do have other investment portfolios, such as my crypto portfolio on crypto.com. So feel free to check them out. That's all for this video. See you in the next one.